Mr. Speaker, I have a motion to recommit at the desk.
Is the gentlewoman opposed to the bill?
I am opposed.
The gentlewoman qualifies. The clerk will report the motion.
Ms. Edwards of Maryland moves to recommit the bill H.R. 3293 to the Committee on Science, Space, and Technology with instructions to report the same back to the House forthwith with the following amendments. Page 4, line 13, strike or. Page 4, line 15, strike the period and insert semicolon or. Page 4, after line 15, insert the following. H, increased understanding of the causes and prevention of gun violence.
The House will come to order. Members, please take your conversations off the floor. The gentlewoman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, this is the final amendment to the bill. It will not kill the bill or send it back to committee. If adopted, the bill will immediately...
The House will, gentlewoman, suspend. The House, please come to order. Gentlewoman is recognized.
If adopted, the bill will immediately proceed to final passage as amended. H.R. 3293, the deceptively titled Scientific Research in the National Interest, represents an effort by the majority to overrule expert scientists in deciding which scientific grants the federal scientific agencies should fund. What this really translates to, Mr. Speaker, is that these are areas that some politicians do not want to fund because they don't believe in scientists. Just a week ago, 26-year-old Nishante Davis, a second-grade teacher in Fort Washington, and her 2-year-old daughter, Chloe, were gunned down because of child support. We have a gun violence problem in the United States, and according to the American Journal of Medicine, compared to other rich nations, Americans...
The House will come to order. General, he's recognized.
Americans are 25 times more likely to be violently killed with a firearm, 6 times more likely to be accidentally killed with a gun, 8 times more likely to commit suicide using a firearm, and 10 times more likely to die from a gun death overall. To address this, Americans deserve the facts, and Congress needs the breadth and the data for the epidemic. Using the public health approach, we've reduced smoking among Americans from 43% at the time of the first Surgeon General's report in 1964. Since the 1970s, using the public health approach, we've reduced deaths from motor vehicle crashes by more than 70%. In 1970, there were over 55,000 deaths from motor vehicle crashes per year. Today, there are over 30,000. So what does the public health approach yield? Is this: define the problem, including its magnitude, nature, and distribution in the population. Define the cause or risk and protective factors for the problem. What are the characteristics?
Suspend. House come to order. General, he's recognized.
What are the characteristics to prevent the problem? For example, educating people about the risk of guns that come with gun ownership and how to reduce that risk, and develop widely implemented programs using proven strategies to prevent the problem. Public health can help solve this problem. And at this time, I want to recognize my colleague and co-sponsor of the motion, the gentleman from California.
I want to thank the gentlelady from Maryland. On every block in every community across America, people are asking, what is the federal government doing to keep our communities safe from gun violence? And they're asking for good reason. Nearly 11,000 Americans were victims of homicide by firearm in 2014, and there is nearly 1 mass shooting for each day of the year in 2015, according to the New York Times. With these stats, are we doing enough? Can we do more? Our motion to recommit answers this question by endeavoring to understand the causes of gun violence and learning how we can curb it. As members of Congress, we have no higher obligation than to protect those we represent. I urge all members, live up to that responsibility, help do all we can to reduce gun violence, and pass this motion to recommit.
Mr. Speaker, using the public health approach, we've now eradicated smallpox, eliminated polio in most countries, reduced motor vehicle deaths by 70%, reduced smoking rates by over half. We can do something about gun violence, and we have an obligation to do it today. Just we're able to do the same thing to address the gun violence epidemic. This is a small and yet powerful step with research, just research, that could lead to significantly reducing the number of Americans killed by firearms. All we want to do is look at the problem. All we want to do is measure the magnitude. All we want to do is find solutions for Nashante Davis, 26 years old, and her 2-year-old daughter, Chloe. Gunned down, gunned down. And in every single community across this country. We can do this by enabling the National Science Foundation to just look into the issue, give us some answers so that we can find solutions. We owe it to Nashante, we owe it to Chloe, we owe it to the American people. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, treat this like the epidemic that it is, end gun violence in this country, and I urge my colleagues to support my common sense motion, and I yield back the balance of my time.